Welcome to webgolfcoach.com. Chipping. So chipping is a shot that we play from around the edge of the green, much closer to our target and very much a feel part of the game. Now the first thing we've got to do is assess the situation, so that will help us make a selection in our club. As a general part here, I've got 3 clubs. I have my sand wedge, I've got my pitching wedge, and I've got my 8-iron. Now each of these clubs are going to perform differently. The general rule that I look at here is that the sand wedge, if I allow that the ball will fly 2/3 in the air and 1/3 for allow the roll of the ball to the target, my pitching wedge about 50% of in the air, 50% roll to the target, and then the 8-iron will be 1/3 in the air and then 2/3 roll towards the target. Now, looking at this particular shot, I've got quite a flat level shot in towards the flag. Now, my instincts would tell me that the best club to use for this is something that's straighter face. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 3 shots, one with each club, and give you an idea on the result and also the swing from there. So as I take my sand wedge position, let me talk to you about the difference in the setup. Firstly, we need to make a more descending contact on the golf ball, and to do that we actually need to form a setup position that will influence that. Now, as I mentioned, this part of the game is about feel and getting distance control. So the first thing that I'm actually going to do is bring my stance much closer together. The ball position will be in the center of my stance, and I'm going to add a bit of weight onto my left side, so there's about 60% of my weight is on the target side of the golf ball. As I hang a club from my sternum or my chin, as I allow it to hang, it's on the target side of the golf ball. When I take my hold of the golf club, I'm actually going to hold quite down the bottom end of the handle, so there's quite a large part of the handle sticking out the top end of my left hand. The hands are also going to be positioned a little bit more ahead of the ball also. So as you can see here, I'm in a position that is going to influence the right contact with the golf ball. Now, depending on the swing and depending on my club selection, I'm looking at making a swing where the club will move back the same distance and finish the same as forward. So, for an example, if I make a swing that the club goes to 7 o'clock, I'm going to finish at 5 o'clock. If I go to 8 o'clock, I'm going to finish at 4 o'clock. And if the club goes to 9 o'clock on the way back, I'm going to finish at 3 o'clock. So therefore, I'm not going to change the rhythm of my swing, but the length of the swing will actually change the distance that the ball will go for me. So, getting to the setup position, feet closer together, weight on the left side, the ball position being in the center. Good way that we can tell from our setup position is that the club as we hang from our sternum or our chin is on the target side of the golf ball. So forming our hold of the golf club down the end of the handle and pushing the hands forward, this is the way that we need to set up in order to make a good contact. From there, as I hit this shot, I'm going to work on the target that I have is around 8 till 4 in this particular shot. So as you can see there, a much shorter swing, very much to do with feel. As you notice that I didn't really use my hands in the swing. Common fault of people who are trying to do some chipping is by flicking the ball up in the air. Let the loft of the club do the work for you. As you've noticed on that particular shot, you'll have seen that my hands are, the club in my left arm has stayed a straight line. So with my 3 club selection, my sand wedge, which I'll play for you now, my pitching wedge and my 8-iron, as I mentioned, the sand wedge, the ball flight will be around 2/3 in the air, 1/3 roll. The pitching wedge will be around 50-50, and the 8-iron will be around 1/3 in the air and 2/3 roll. You will see a difference in the length of the swing relative to the club that I'm using. So I'm using my sand wedge now. So assuming I get into my good setup position. So you can quite clearly see the sand wedge there flew quite a long way towards the target and stopped very quickly. My pitching wedge this time, I'm looking at a target area of around 50% between the ball and the target. So you can see that shot I hit pretty well towards my landing area, and the ball released towards the hole there. You can see that there was much more roll on that shot. And now my 8-iron. So now my landing area has changed again, much closer to me, around 1/3. Now you could see from that shot that the ball was very much more rolling along the ground. All I had to do was just get it onto the putting surface and let the slope of the green take care of it from there. You can also see the difference in the length of the swing for each shot. Now, looking at the results, I would say that on this flat lie, the 8-iron is the easier shot to play. So really the sand wedge is kind of a club that we can use if you've got full of confidence, then absolutely fine. But really a shot where if you have an obstacle, a bunker or a hill or something to play over, then that's the selection that you need. Other than that, looking at a low shot running straight in towards the target, then use a straighter face club. The dispersion is more consistent between the good shot and if you hit a bad shot. And it is the result we're kind of looking for, getting that ball as close to the hole as possible. So pay attention to the setup, but also the motion of the swing. Keep the feel, let the club do the work.